Trying to get all this in the shot, but I'm gonna definitely be needing that overhead thing. All these cables going around is crazy. But anyway, OP-1 field, iPad. This is scalar 2. I'm just using it through AUM, which in turn also houses. I'm using Swarm. Let me cut the light because if I don't, it's gonna you're not gonna be able to. I don't think you can see everything right. So I used iFretless bass. This is IHNY, iHeart New York 2 is baby audio. I like to use those for like general purposes. There's a little sweetener thing in there. This is EOS 2, which is pretty much just the reverb. I use the ambience reverb and just turn it really low, just the same way I would use Valhalla. Like it great for tenor sax, Swam. And then this is iFretless bass, which if I was just using an iPad and this and didn't even have this or controller or whatever, then you could just play it. I actually like to play that one on screen. I think it feels better because you can get the vibrato with your fingers on there. I don't, what am I talking about? Feels better, but it just is better in that essence to control. This is obviously the SP404. So I put together some chords, and this is what they sound like. Pure piano. I did that actually with pure piano using the same effects that I used on the tenor. Then I added some warmth to it by in the bus effects, which is actually not on right now. That's the only thing is I wish you could sign it and just leave it, but I don't know how to do that. So right now, this is what I have it on. I'd have to resample it. That's what I'd have to do. I just use the warm. I actually used that on the bass. And then I had the lo-fi on the piano, I believe. I think that's what I was doing originally. If I hit remain, you can see the green and orange, which ones. So this is the second bus. This is the first bus. So basically, I think I want bus 2 to have the lo-fi. So I hit that, and then I'm gonna hit lo-fi, which is 16. You can't see it, but I use the button there, the numbers down there to control it. There's the lo-fi tone. Hit remain here. And I'm gonna turn this tone up. Actually, I want to put it down. I think I had it like 12. And then you can come down here. $40-60 is cool. Cool, I like that. So I like that lo-fi. I didn't really mess with this originally when I was first starting with this, but I kind of like it. You could use the isolator to kind of get that, to EQ it, or even the EQ to do it. Okay, so there's that bus. On the bass, I want the warmth. Hold on, now I got too much. Let's work on the bass. I think I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna push the drive a little more. Maybe not. Oh, it's the level that's not up. Okay, that's what it is. Then start out with the drums. And actually, now that I think about it, the drums are getting... I didn't want the drums to go through the effects, so let's check them. Yeah, see, they're on. So I'm going to put the drums out of that effect. Okay, now. There's mistakes in there. I don't care. I'm just kind of rocking with that for right now. I could always come back and do that pattern over. It's just a 4-bar pattern. That's the cool thing, is that if you do it every note and everything individually instead of putting it all together and resample inside of if you don't use patterns, you can't, you'll have to go back and redo everything and play it all the time and then keep constantly resampling, and it drives me nuts. So I prefer to play it. If I make a mistake, just go back and redo it, whatever. But use the pattern mode for what it's worth. So then the chords with it. Then the bass with the chords and the drums. Then the piano, or the horns. I did 16 bars on the horns. I just kept playing. I like to do that when I'm doing like a just have fun. Like, I don't like to hold myself back and try to if I make a mistake, I'm cool with that. I just roll with it. But I try to play something that sounds good. So that's kind of my workflow with this. I'll let it play out. Okay, so I figured out my thing, but well, I didn't figure it out. Other people helped me figure it out. I guess with the SP, I don't know what the point of it is, but the source button, which you can't see in the camera right now, the external source button, which allows you to record into the SP, can be like mapped, or not mapped, can be recorded, like triggered off and on. I don't know what in the world you would do that for, though. Somebody can probably explain it later, but I don't know what the point of it is yet. Maybe something down the road they're adding that needs to be that way, and we don't know yet. But I don't get it. Whatever, doesn't matter. I won't use it that way. I just got to be mindful of turning it off if I'm going to record, or after I've recorded. Just make sure I turn it off once, or exit out of pattern mode. I think it goes off. No, it does not. Okay. I think after you stop recording, it goes off. So you can't see it right now. Let's see if we can move it over. I'm not going to move it because I wanted you to see this. I was going to do something with this. But anyway, so there's the song. So one of the things I noticed that a lot of people, I know new people struggle with this a lot more, is the soloing and adding other parts to their, they may have a good 4-bar, a good, 8-bar loop that they've come up with. And then it's like, well, what do you do from there? Well, of course, the obvious is arrange it, remove parts, bring in parts at different times. But one of the things that I like to do, and you've seen me talk about it before, is use like the Swam instruments as solo instruments to solo over my own song. You can use the flutes. My favorite ones are the flute, the tenor sax, and the trumpet, right? Those are the ones that I probably use the most out of all of them. But they're all good. If you can catch them on sale, they're really good. And one of the things you can do is use Scalar to help you play it. Now, we've talked about this before, where you can key lock. And if you key lock, you have options, right? You can use scale to white keys. Now, that's, for me, I find that helpful when I'm playing on the actual iPad. And it's because, if you can see here, my fingers are fat, right? And I'm on an iPad mini. So I actually played the bass on the iPad mini into here. I actually played the chords on the iPad mini into here. And I played that horn that you heard. That was all done from the iPad mini into here. I didn't even, because I was sitting on the couch, I didn't even take the OP-1 field, which is, all this is really small. It's easy to take it, but it's just, I just didn't do it. So I was like, I'm just going to do something with the iPad. And that's what I got. So you can hear it has some dynamics to it, which is cool. So how did I get there? How was I able to do that? Well, I used the map to the white keys on here to do it, but I wouldn't, but I don't always encourage it, and only because while it can get you, it can get you the actual notes to play, and you'll know what to do. I encourage you to learn the scales. They're really not hard to learn. And what I mean by that is a major, let's just do major, because that's what I used in here was a major scale, right? So if we look at this and we're doing major, don't look at the chords. Just look up at this keyboard if you can see. Let me see if I can zoom in. Hopefully that's helpful. It's kind of bright, isn't it? Those blue notes represent the notes that's in the scale. And all you have to do is start from wherever your scale is going to be. So in this case, you can see it's A major. So the notes start at A major. But if it helps you, sometimes what I will do is I know this is C and I know this is the other C, right? The octave C. So I just learn what notes are in that octave. You don't have to start with A just because an A is the first note in this scale technically. Just learn what notes fall in the major scale of A major, that is, of whatever the key you're in. So if you're in A major, what notes fall in A major scale? In this case, you can see it's the C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, right? Or it goes to the A. Technically, it's A to A is why you would want to learn that. But if you learn what's in between those two C's, right? If it starts C, start there. But learn what's in between those areas. Now all you have to do is play. Well, if you're on keyboard or whatever, you can look. Let me try to fix this camera where you can see it. So I learned what's on it, right? So I say, okay, so it's C sharp, D. That's literally, in a major, it's only what, 2, 4, 6, 7 notes to memorize. Some scales are less. A lot of them are around 7. Most of them are around 7. So 7 notes is all you got to memorize. And you play those notes up and down the scale. If your chords rest in this area, like let's say this is octave 3, let's just say. Here's octave 4, here's octave 5. If your chords play between 3 and 4, then play your melody on 5 in the 5th octave or wherever you're at. So that way you don't play the same notes that's already been played in the chords. Especially if you're going to use the same instrument. So if you're using a horn, you could definitely get away with it a lot more by playing it. But if you're going to use like a piano and then you want to play a piano melody, don't play the same notes that you just played the chords with. Make sure you play further down or further up. That would actually be up the keyboard so that you get the melody right. So what I'm saying is, while yes, you can map to the white key, and if you're going to do something on an iPad mini for sure, if you're on the bigger iPads, though, you have a little more space. You don't have to do that mapping to the white key stuff. So learn that 7 notes and then just play and have fun. So all right, so I'm going to just... just like that. So now you've learned major. So just learn that and figure out for each chord. So let's say you go minor. Well, what does it change? So if we go minor, hold on a second, let me see. Did it switch over to minor? It should have. Hold up. Minor. Okay. So now there's the notes in minor, and you can see that it did not change one bit. Is it moving? No, it's not. Okay, major. Okay, so now you'll see it locks. If you touch there, it's locking these chords. We don't want those chords. Okay, so we're in major. So let's go minor, F sharp minor. So the notes are pretty much the same. You see that? Major, minor, it's the same notes. It just has to do with where you start on the actual keyboard. So if it's F minor, sharp minor, then you would start with the F and you play down from there, right? Back to the F. So can you see I know I got it dark in here. So you start with F. And the next note over here will be F. So what I'm saying is learn those couple chords, learn those notes. If you get the F, see these are relative, right? So the F, A major is relative, the relative minor of that scale would be F sharp. So if you start with the major minor, then work your way, learn at least, you don't have to learn every scale. No, I don't know every scale. I mean, that's ridiculous to say I would. But A major, minor, Lydian, Phrygian, Dorian, Mixolydian, and Locrian mode. I think I pronounced that right. So those are like probably the most used ones of all the scales, right? If you can at least learn those, and if you can't memorize them, because I don't have the best memory either, then let's pick one here. Then at least when you get in something like a scalar here, by the way, you can look down here and just take the root note of this. You don't have to look at the major if you want to know. So watch, if you go here, and let's say you pick F minor, see it'll tell you the first note in there. If you read it right here is F sharp. So then it's G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E. Same thing we did up there. So now let's go back and do, let's do Phrygian. So Phrygian, if we went with C sharp Phrygian, you can see it's basically the same notes. It's just where does it start? So C sharp. So we're gonna start, can you see my hand? Yeah. C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. That's why I said if you look, it's really not complicated. This thing is showing you the scale, the detected scales, right? So it's pulling the scales that it thinks this is falling in, and then you're looking at it and you're just picking it. So you glance up here, you say, okay, this is the scale. Learn what notes fall in the scale that's detected. It doesn't matter if you click on this one, that one, whatever, and then just play it. And you can kind of hear it too as you listen. You'll know what notes to play. It kind of falls in place, like what to play. And don't worry so much about the order of you playing them in. Play it rhythmically how you think it sounds good with the song. So if you hear this and you just start playing, you just think about it, you just play it. Okay, I did not teach you musical theory. I just showed you how to use scalar to learn to play the notes, and then you'll find that you're not guessing like where to go. You kind of know where to go. Eventually, you'll have them memorized. Like anything, practice makes perfect. You just got to keep doing it a lot. But the cool thing is, if you don't have the memory, look right up here, pick the blue notes, and that's the notes you can play, and just play those notes. Don't do the map to white key unless you have to. And I've encouraged in the past to use it, but I think it's good to not make that a crutch for you, because you won't grow musically if you do. You'll constantly just turn that on, and then you'll feel like you're playing the same old rhythms. You won't know what you're playing, right? And then how are you gonna grow from that? How are you gonna be better at playing music? So eventually, if you decide to jam out with friends, or you want to get an instrument and play and really have fun like that, then this is going to put you in that place where you can do that. You can grow and become a better musician from it. You also hear everything a little bit better as time goes on. It starts getting easier to hear what should be done or what scale you're in, and it just takes practice. But again, start off slow. Use the notes up here, learn them on the keys, and then play your melodies and your leads and everything else using that. Then eventually you forget all this stuff, right? Because like riding a bicycle, you forget all the stuff you had to think about when you first got into it, and then you just do it. So I mean, you can do that. You can listen to where you just become that person who can start playing it. So that's my spiel for today on that. And you got to see a little bit of, it's kind of dark in here, huh? And you got to see a little bit of the OP-1, and the mostly important thing was scalar here, but also how I kind of work with the SP. So I think that is it for this one. I just wanted to share that thought with you about the scales. And the reason why I say that too, another reason I'll leave it at this is the last thing. If you don't have scalar 2, how are you going to play? Like, let's say all you had was a phone and koala and you didn't have scalar 2. What if you only had tonality as an option? How would you do with tonality? I'm just going to pull up the pads. But let's say this is all you have because you only have a phone. You don't have scalar is not on the iPhone. But let's say, how would you do? I mean, it'd be the same thing, right? I went to the wrong thing. So scale notes. So now you find the scale for that, for the notes. Pick which one you want. That's D major. This thing is kind of tiny here. When you're on the iPad, you got straight. There you go. Phrygian. So see how they have the notes here for you to know which to play. So this is I know it's hard to see with the iPad mini in this, but D Phrygian. So you would play back to the D, right? That's the scale. So figure out, the cool thing about scalar too is it kind of helps you determine what the scale is, so it makes it easier for you to figure it out. Tonality doesn't do that, so you would have to the way I would do it in tonality is I would click here and then I would hit scale chords. Pick a scale. Let's say you're gonna use major. We'll do major, and we'll do, what were we in? A major. I'm not gonna put the dominance on, but if you create it, then you can see the scale follows here, right? And the root note is the scale. So it starts with A. So you just go A. Can you see that? Make sure. Yeah. Start with A. I'm gonna start over here since I have a 2-octave keyboard here. So A, B, C sharp, D, E, right? F sharp, G sharp. There you have it. So you just learn those notes. All right. Tonality is the same thing. These are the chords, but the chords and the first thing in the chords corresponds to what the scale is going to be. So that's how you do it. And those are the notes. Pretty simple. And if you're on an iPhone, you would use probably, hopefully, maybe tonality, maybe use something else. But whatever the case, you got suggester too also. Whatever the case is, you have the knowledge you need to be able to play. You know the octaves, you know what notes work on the keyboard instantly when you see it, even if you didn't have a trigger like a scalar or something, even if you didn't have tonality. If you know the chords and you are able to figure out what scale they're in, or if you know the scale that you're supposed to be in, let's say if they are the key, you could even say, let's say you got a riff from, what's that thing? Splice. Couldn't think of it. If you got something from Splice, like a loop, and the loop had told, or they tell you that the loop is in A major, right? Then you can say, oh yeah, I remember A major. So then you go back, right? You don't need scalar or anything to tell you. You just remember the notes from A major, right? And you know the chords, what to play. So this is why I said learn it. And you just learned F minor, sharp minor too. It's the same notes. You just start with the F sharp. Right? Go back all the way up. I don't have the keys here, but you go up to the F sharp. So that's pretty much it. You learn, it's a 2-for-1 learning experience, right? You learn one scale, learn the major, and you know the minor. It's the same thing. So, and you really know other scales once you learn those, but you didn't think about it, right? Until Scalar just said, oh, that's the same thing as D Lydian, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. Use this stuff to your advantage, and you're probably a better musician than you already think you, or than you think you're not, or whatever. I hope I said that right. You're better than what you think. You just maybe don't know, or maybe a little blind to something. Maybe it's like, I don't know why this is this, but you're doing it and it's working, right? So now you have a chance to say, I do know what that is because you've learned it. So I think it'll make music more better. Can make music, it's not going to make it better, but it's going to make it fun once you learn the language a little bit better, because then you'll speak it, and your songs then will become not only accurate as far as the way it's being played, but you'll start feeling more free, like you hear it, right? Where to be and what to do in the song. Anyway, I've been talking for a long time. That is it for this video. Got any questions, thoughts? Drop them in the comments as you know. And hopefully you learned something from me, and hopefully I'll learn something from you. All right, I'm out.